Yeah. Ready? You okay? Ready to start? Okay. Good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. If you'd all please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. And Sean, will you please call roll?
Deputy Mayor Pelosi.
Here.
Councilmember Baggett.
Excused?
Councilmember Brown.
Excused.
Councilmember DeCoursey.
Here.
Councilmember Holman.
Here.
Councilmember Trout Manuel.
Excused.
Councilmember Wells.
Thank you. All right, we have a quorum, so we will continue on for the evening. We will move immediately to appointments, and I will read the appointments once, and unless council has a need to take any of them off of the one motion, we will just confirm them all with one motion. All right, appointments and reappointments to boards and commissions. City Council to reappoint the following boards and commission members. All appointees will serve a new three-year term to expire December 31st, 2022. Airport Board, Deanna Clark. Arts Commission, Greg Watson. Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, Bob Fraser and Christian Faltenberger. Tourism Board, Ronnie Roberts and Malia Dale. BIA Ratepayer Committee, Giovanni DiQuattro. Cemetery Board, Warren Olson, Robert Rakos, and Judy Rowland. Human Services, Barbara Dearda. Parks and Recreation Board, Lisa Russell and Bailey Stober. Planning Commission, Joan Mason. Salary Commission, Ronnie Beiersdorf. Transportation Advisory Board, Dennis Grad. And Urban Tree Board, James Tarango and Brooke C. Hall. Do we have a motion? Councilmember Wales.
I move for the appointment and reappointment. I move for the appointment and reappointment of the names presented by our mayor.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Holman.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor of the reappointments to the boards and commissions as previously read, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes. All right. Do we have any agenda modifications this night? All right. Excuse me. We will move to public hearings. Public hearing for mid-biennial review and modification of the 2019-2020 biennial budget. City Council to hold a public hearing to receive public comments and suggestions with regard to the proposed modifications to the 2019-2020 biennial budget. Bob, do we have any staff report, or you're just here to answer questions if there are any? All right, Council, did you have any questions before we open the public hearing? All right, we will open the public hearing for the mid-biennial review and modification of the 2019-2020 biennial budget. Is there anyone that would like to speak to the budget? Is there anyone that would like to speak? Please come forward, give your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Bob Zimmerman, 33029 46th Place South. There's a couple points on the budget that I think the city could benefit from. And the first item would be to change the code enforcement to where you subcontract that out to a firm that is capable, and they could do it just like they did with Labor and Industries. Electrical Division was the only department in the state that turned a profit until the legislature decided to stick them into the general fund. And I think the city could greatly benefit from that. The second item would be you could probably should start a savings account to pay for the lawsuits that are probably going to happen after the earthquake for like the issues that I've been bringing up for property loss and serious injury and even wrongful death. you know, this happened at OSO, and the issues that I bring up, they say they're not code issues, but they're certainly serious safety issues. The other item would be probably a risk management budget that was capable, you know, get enough people or whatever you need to do to go assess the risks of the things that I've been bringing up. I mean, my gosh, you know, like if you got a wall standing on top of the ground, it's not a code violation, but it's certainly a risk according to the engineer that evaluated it. So anyway, that's all I've got to say about the budget. I did look and see if I could find any precise numbers, but it's in such general terms, and so I really don't have that information. But I'm sure that the astute body here can address those issues and for the good of the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the mid-biennial review and modification of the 2019-2020 biennial budget? Please come forward, give your name and address for the record.
Virginia Haugen, 2503 R Street, Southeast, Auburn. Yeah, budget. Gee whiz, I just have to have this thing in front of me. It says Kent, Auburn's sister city, travel to Japan October 8th through the 19th, 2019. Travelers stayed 2 extra days due to typhoon event and canceled flights. So, the entire trip for 3 people, the mayor and 2 people, I'm not sure if they were of her choice or if the council decided that they should go, but the total budget for this was, or the cost of it was $10,406.09. So, if I sat down here in a meeting several months ago and heard a former finance director talk about the city of Auburn being in financial trouble if we didn't get, you know, some measures to straighten things out, like maybe a tax increase, and I guess we're going to get a tax increase. So it seems to me like maybe the city council should start paying more attention to the budget. And if I were on that council, I would vote no on any amendments. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on the proposed budget amendments? Hearing none, we will close the public hearing. We will move to public hearing for franchise agreement number FRN 19-0015. City Council to hold a public hearing in consideration of renewing the franchise agreement. Ingrid, is there any staff report?
No staff report. This was discussed at last week's study session.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions before we open the public hearing? All right, I will open the public hearing for franchise agreement number FRN 19-0015. Is there anyone that would like to speak to that franchise agreement? Is there anyone that would like to speak to the franchise agreement? All right, we will close the public hearing. We will move to audience participation. This is the place on the agenda where the public is invited to speak to the City Council on any issue. Those wishing to speak are reminded to sign in on the form provided, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Please come forward, give your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Bob Zimmerman, 33029 46th Place South. Last time Mayor Backus said that she'd been doing some modification of teaching stuff. The word escapes me right now. Curriculum. I read in the paper on Sunday that they have been doing some research on how the human brain works, and they have established new systems so that they can help teach reading and all that kind of stuff. And over the last few years, they have absolutely refused to consider empirical data and safety standards that have been developed without the last century. So I would be very skeptical if it was my child that was underneath this modified curriculum. But anyway, I'd like to talk about structural stability. Now, the city has told me that these are not code violations, But I started off with a domino. I've said many times that the domino, you know, is a concrete wall standing on top of the ground needs to have, to increase its size 50% to be as thick as the domino standing on top of the ground, okay? Now, back in the about 1713, I believe, I found a book up in the northeast corner where we have lots of rocky ground, and the people back there, farmers in the colonial America, they used stone walls. And that book that is 300 years old said if you're going to build a stone wall on top of the ground, you use the base two-thirds the width of the height, like this, okay? So, that provides for stability, a lot more than something like this. And the normal way that you use footings and foundations is you build something like this, where you've got your wall here, you got about a third under the ground, and you've got a footing that provides stability back and forth. And I painted that part gold because it's worth its weight in gold if you happen to live by one of the damn things. So anyway, now the point of this is that if these kind of booby traps are allowed around the city, someday somebody's going to decide they're going to plant a bed of roses by one of these things. Okay, now you got 32 tons of concrete standing on top of the ground, and somebody goes along there and starts digging holes 2 feet deep every 24 inches to plant roses in a proper manner to mix in compost and stuff. Everybody that's ever dug a hole in the ground knows that it sloughs off under its own weight. Now, how in the heck is some innocent gardener that thinks this city provides safe structures ever going to survive planting roses? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Please come forward, give your name and address for the record.
Hi, Jason Berry, representing the Auburn Valley YMCA, 1620 Perimeter Road, Southwest. Last month, I had the opportunity to present a proposal at a council study session around a funding request for our capital expansion. And we are plugging away. We got a new $100,000 gift just a few weeks ago from a private funder. And we are just excited to close this out. We are nearing the end. I know how crazy busy it is. We've really appreciated our partnership and continued work with the city. I just really wanted to bring a friendly reminder to that proposal and just say that we're really excited to get to the work of serving an additional 5,000 kids and families that'll make possible at the Y. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Right, final time. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Come forward, give your name and address for the record.
I'm missing a Seahawks game for this, but my name is Virginia Haugen, 2503 R Street, Southeast. I wanted to make sure that I got down here to thank a couple of people for serving on the city council for quite a long time. We've lost our committee system because some people made a mistake. It's very difficult for a council member to know what's going on if he doesn't have a committee. But I remember when a couple of our council members wanted to go back to the committee system, and they weren't able to get enough votes to do that. I had an opportunity to work with Councilmember Wales a very long time ago when she worked for the school district, and I found out how tough she is and how smart. We make mistakes sometimes. We say things that we're probably sorry for later on. But I want to thank Councilmember Largo Wales for serving on the council and for doing what I believe was what she should have done. I had an opportunity to work with Councilmember Pelosa on several committees. And yes, we disagreed. And did he get me a little angry a couple of times? Yes, he did. But not real angry, because somehow he had enough class to ignore the things that he didn't like, get up and put his top coat on and his hat and smile, and wish everyone well and walk out the door. Someone told me the other day, when I just happened to mention his name, that he has a lot of class. Well, sometimes I thought maybe he didn't have as much class as he should have had, but that was the little Italian temper flaring, I guess. But I thank Councilmember Pelosi very much for your service, and I want you to know publicly how much I appreciated being able to serve with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Final time. All right, we will move on. Sean, do we have any correspondence this evening? No, Your Honor. All right, Council Ad Hoc Committee reports, and the chairs may report on the status of their ad hoc council committee's progress on assigned tasks and may give their recommendation to the City Council, if any. Currently, we have the Finance Ad Hoc Committee, and the chair is Councilmember Wales.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember DeCoursey and myself reviewed the vouchers for the last 2-week period of time. It's our recommendation that they be approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will move to the consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered by the City Council to be routine and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Do we have a motion? Deputy Mayor Pelosi.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Holman.
Moved second.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Pelosi.
Thank you, Mayor. The consent agenda covers several items tonight, such as the minutes of the November 18th council meeting. There are claim vouchers in the amount of $167,000. And then there's payroll vouchers to over $3 million. And then there's one called on-call agreement. If I was sitting out in the audience or viewing this on TV, I wouldn't know what that really meant. I could surmise and make some ideas, but I looked this up, and I'm going to give some examples of on-call agreements so that people know what that means. As an example, in this year's on-call agreements, the city has a remaining contract amount of $268,000. In the 2020, next year's on-call agreements, we're looking at $668,000. Now, these are areas, there's really 4 major areas that this money, this funding pot is going to. Airport facilities, support services, storm utility modeling, winter utility modeling, and utility design. I didn't really know before I came on council 16 years ago the importance of water, be it storm water, be it drinking potable water, be it wastewater, etc. We have to maintain all those utilities in the city of Auburn. That's where the taxpayer money goes. And some people say, boy, that sure costs a lot of money. Well, labor costs, material costs, everything goes up every year. We can't stop that. And so like today, my wife and I got our car insurance. It went up $40 from last year. I mean, everything goes up. Many of us are on fixed income. Well, it cuts a little way on that fixed income, doesn't it? So those are I hope you learned something from this little speech, but had I heard that 16 years ago, I would have known more where our public money goes. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Are there any questions or comments from council? Excuse me. Hearing none, all those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. It passes. right, we have no unfinished business or new business. Excuse me. We'll move on to ordinances. Ordinance number 6746, an ordinance adopting 2019 annual comprehensive plan map and text amendments and adopting corresponding rezones related to certain map amendments. Do we have a motion? Councilmember Wales.
I move for the approval of ordinance number 6746.
Thank you. Second, Councilmember DeCoursey.
I second the motion, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilmember Wales.
This was presented at our last study session in a very comprehensive manner, and we didn't have any questions at the time. Job well done. Recommend that it be approved.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions or comments? All those in favor of ordinance number 6746, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Excuse me, it passes. Ordinance number 6745, an ordinance updating school impact fees and amending chapter 19.02 of the Auburn City Code. Do we have a motion? Councilmember Wales.
Thank you very much. I move for the approval of ordinance 6745.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Holman.
Move to second.
Thank you. Councilmember Wales.
I want to thank the city staff for the work that they went to address some of the issues that we've had in previous years, and also the additional step of our city breaking out the fees as it relates to the various sizes of complexes being built. I really appreciate you listening to what we have to say and also being fair to our builders.
Thank you. Questions or comments? All those in favor of ordinance number 6745, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes. Ordinance number 6749, an ordinance removing administrative fees from city code and amending section 5.20.030 of the Auburn City Code. Do we have a motion? Councilmember DeCoursey.
I move to approve ordinance number 6749.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Holman.
Move to second.
Thank you. Councilmember DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a practice that the city has incorporated over the last 10 years to remove fees from the city code in favor of placing those fees in the city's master fee schedule, and that master fee schedule is updated annually. This ordinance will remove specific fees from the city code and place them in the master fee schedule that was adopted by resolution. And doing that provides two primary objectives. One is to place all city fees in a central location, makes it easier for customers to navigate through the process. And secondly, to enable a more efficient process for considering annual fee updates that can be acted upon through resolution instead of ordinance changes.
Thank you. Questions or comments? All those in favor of ordinance number 6749, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes. Ordinance number 6751, an ordinance authorizing amendments to the City of Auburn 2019-2020 budget. Do we have a motion? Councilmember Wales.
I move for the approval of ordinance number 6752.
51.
Oh, 51.
Let's
Thank
start
you.
with that one, yes.
Yes.
Right, do we have a second? Councilmember Holman.
Second.
Thank you. Councilmember Wales.
Again, we had a presentation at our last study session, a very comprehensive presentation. There were no questions at the time, and I think we're ready to move forward.
Thank you. Questions or comments from council? All those in favor of ordinance number 6751, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes. Now we'll move to ordinance 6752, an ordinance authorizing amendments to the City of Auburn 2019-2020 budget. Do we have a Councilmember Wales?
I move for the approval of 6752.
All right, do we have a second? Councilmember Holman.
Second.
Thank you. Councilmember Wales.
I would hope that people have an opportunity to observe our last study session where our wonderful Director of Finance did an excellent half-hour presentation on where we are financially and on these amendments. And so it's my recommendation that this be also approved.
Thank you. Questions or comments? All those in favor of ordinance number 6752, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes. Ordinance number 6753, an ordinance making penalties for drug crimes consistent with state law and amending section 9.22.010 and 9.22.020 of the Auburn City Code. Do we have a motion? Deputy Mayor Pelosi.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I move for approval of ordinance 6753.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember DeCoursey.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Pelosi.
Yeah, this ordinance is a little unusual, so I thought I'd just comment a little further on. This is for drug crimes. State law mandates that all local drug crimes have the same penalties as the state penalties. Not so. Contains and then these two sections, AMC 922010 and 020, contain a mandatory minimum penalties that state law does not have and should therefore be removed.
Thank you. All those in favor of ordinance number 6753, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Resolution number 5463, a resolution authorizing amendments to the Auburn Municipal Airport land leases relating to the 2020 fair market value lease rate adjustment. Do we have a motion? Councilmember Wales.
I move for the approval of Resolution 5463.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember DeCoursey.
I'll second the motion, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilmember Wales.
Once again, our staff did a very nice job. They are proposing an increase. They met with the tenants. They discussed the need. They came up with a plan, and it's going to be phased in over 2 years. And job well done, and the tenants feel comfortable with it. So it's my recommendation this be approved.
Thank you. All those in favor of resolution number 5463, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes. All right, resolution number 5470, a resolution amending the fee schedule for the 2020 fees. Do we have a motion? Councilmember Holman.
Move to adopt resolution 5470.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Wales. Did you want to second it?
Oh, I did. I'm sorry. I'll second that. I was just thinking about Christmas gifts. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Councilmember Holman.
Remember those fees we took out in resolution 6749? Well, this is where they get put back in. So fear not, we're not going to lose a penny on this transaction.
Questions or comments? All those in favor of resolution number 5470, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All opposed, please say no. Passes. Resolution number 5472, a resolution endorsing use of the 2020 Valley Regional Fire Authority fee schedule as adopted by the Valley Regional Fire Authority Board of Governance. Do we have a motion? Deputy Mayor Pelosi.
Thank you, Mayor. The Valley Regional Fire Authority, VRFA, was established
Do you
in
want to make the motion
Oh,
first?
I'm sorry. I went out of order here. I move for the adoption of Resolution 5472.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Wales.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Pelosi.
Now I can do it.
Yes.
The Valley Regional Fire Authority was established in 2007 under RCW 52.26 as a fire authority that serves the cities of Auburn, Algona, and Pacific. As a fire authority, operates as a separate municipal corporation with independent taxing authority, not from the city, and within an independent taxing district. That's it.
Thank you. Questions or comments? All those in favor of resolution number 5472, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes. Resolution number 5473, a resolution naming 2 public parks in the Kersey 3 development of the city of Auburn. Do we have a motion? Councilmember DeCoursey.
I move to adopt Resolution 5473.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Wales.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Councilmember DeCoursey.
The development the mayor mentioned was required to have 2 parks constructed as part of the development agreement. And the agreement was for the last 3 years, those parks have operated formally without any approved names. So the park board decided to take action on this, and we have 2 names for the parks. The park board members and staff gathered together to propose the names, and the names are Evergreen Park in Kersey A and Edgeview Park in Kersey B of the Kersey 3 development. This was done at their September board meeting.
Thank you. Questions or comments? All those in favor of resolution number 5473, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes. Resolution number 5474, a resolution endorsing the Sound Cities Association 2020 State Legislative Agenda. Councilmember Holman.
Move to adopt resolution number 5474.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Wales.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Councilmember Holman.
The Sound Cities Association has an annual legislative agenda. This is a rehash of what we were asking for in 2019, and this being a short legislative session, it will be good for the City Council of Auburn to approve this so that we can begin lobbying our legislatures and make the most out of a short session.
Thank you. Questions or comments? All those in favor of resolution number 5474, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes. Excuse me. All right. We have come to the place on the agenda for mayor and council member reports. We may report on significant items associated with their appointed positions on federal, state, regional, and local organizations. We will begin with Deputy Mayor Pelosa.
Thank you, Mayor. I had the good fortune of attending an Eagle Scout Court of Honor. And this was a week ago. And the recipient was David Anderson. David Anderson, young man. He really put out a good project in the city, and his father John and his mother Jen were there. So I'm putting out a big shout for David Anderson, and congratulations for his Eagle Scout Award.
Thank you. Councilmember DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor. First report, the Seahawks are up 27-17.
Oh, you should have asked if anybody was DVRing it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is
before
anybody
you did
DVRing
that.
it? So,
No one's interested.
that's right.
Yeah.
I take back what I just said.
Are you watching it?
No, I'm not. I just have an automatic feed that tells me the score.
Oh,
So, anyway, okay. On November 20th, along with our senior transportation planners, Cecile Malik, we attended the King County Regional Transit Committee meeting. And there were 2 presentations at that meeting. One was on what's called mobility framework, and the other was on system evaluations. We are going to be having a special meeting this coming Thursday to vote on these items that are proposed motions. And what these will do, it will have an effort to work with stakeholders more closely and to develop a mobility framework that provides more equity within the transit service and the system provided by Metro. It also outlines Metro's plans for 2020, and the proposal will include what-if items in case I-976 goes through, and Metro will have to reevaluate their financial situation. They also provided us with a system evaluation report. This is an annual report they do on the transit service itself. And during the last year, Metro added 5,200 hours of service to reduce crowding, They added 8,400 hours to improve reliability and 27,200 hours in the service growth investment areas. And we are constantly looking as cities for them to make sure their investments include South King County, and of course, including Auburn, of which we heard our last study session of the new I-line coming to Auburn in the next couple of years. So again, we'll be attending the meeting on this Thursday and to vote on these, and that would be my last official RTC meeting.
All right. Councilmember Wales.
No report.
Thank you. Councilmember Holman. No report. All right. Well, I am not going to speak for long other than to remind everybody that we have the Santa Claus Parade this Saturday beginning at 4:30 p.m. on Main Street. This is the first year that it will be a lighted parade. There will be floats, cars decorated, as well as the adorable children that are, excuse me, usually in the parade. It will end here at City Hall with the tree lighting, and we are looking forward. I believe the young gentleman, the name that I selected today is Taryn Sandu, I believe is the young man's name, and he will be helping us with the tree lighting. He is 6 years old. And with that, Mr. City Attorney, do we have any need for a closed or an executive session tonight? We are adjourned. Thank you.